Staying with you, Susan, let's turn to the controversy surrounding Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. On Thursday, the Washington Post first reported that Thomas had repeatedly pressed Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, to aggressively pursue an effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election. The revelations come just as Justice Thomas was discharged from the hospital following a week-long stay that began when he was admitted for flu-like symptoms. Now, Republicans spend much of this week lambasting a Democratic Supreme Court nominee for views she's never even expressed. Do you expect these damaging stories about Judge Thomas's wife to have any impact on his standing on the highest court in the land?
Well, it does put Chief Justice Roberts in a bit of a difficult situation because he cares so much about the presentation of the court, the reputation, and how it looks to the American public. I think should other issues regarding emails and such and texts, it may put Justice Thomas in a position where he has to recuse himself. And just keep in mind, Rev, there's no rule that requires a justice to recuse themselves. It's all based on self-monitoring, if you will. I would like just to say about Judge Jackson, if temperament matters, boy, did she bring it. She was fantastic this week. And, you know, the Republicans that tried to catch her, they didn't even come close.
No, they could not provoke her at all. And Juanita, I want to get into Judge Jackson with you because we're running out of time, because I also wanted to talk to you about the inconsistency of how we are dealing with Haitians that come to this country and those that are dealing, and I agree with them that we need to help Ukraine, but we need to have one standard. But let's talk about the hearings on Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. In their efforts to smear this highly qualified nominee, Republicans have been trafficking some pretty outlandish legal theories. Senator Mike Brown of Indiana said in an interview this week he thought individual states should be able to decide whether interracial marriage was legal. Senator Brown later claimed he misunderstood the question, even though he was given a second opportunity to clarify his position. But I'm wondering if what really happened is a senator said the quiet part out loud. Is the ugliness of the KJB hearings really about the fact Republicans still haven't accepted the gains made during the civil rights era, even after over a half a century?
Rev, they were perturbed by the fact that the president said he was going to nominate a black woman, and that reaction spewed into the hearing room, right? Republicans launched every racist, harmful attack that they could. Ted Cruz even asked her if babies were racist. They also went the transphobic route, Marsha Blackburn asking her to define a woman. And then they went the soft on crime route. All of these issues are things that we expect them to hit Democrats on in the midterms. But the reality is what they knew in every single one of these attacks is that it was racist and that it was harmful. And they knew it so well that folks like Senator Graham and Senator Cruz said, hey, you're probably going to call me a racist for this line of questioning, but I'm going to do it anyway. And Rev, if that wasn't a representation of what black women and black people face every day in this country in the face of white supremacy, I don't know what is. Yeah. But again, I appreciate Ketanji Brown Jackson keeping her cool in the face of all of it, all of the disrespect. Every time they talked over her, every time they condescended, she kept her cool. And as Susan said, that temperament is exactly what we need on the highest court in the land.
That is exactly the temperament of a justice of the highest court in the land. Susan Del Percio and Juanita Tolliver, thank you both for being with us. My final thoughts after the break.
Welcome to the Gilchrist Experience. That is a Politic Nation, which comes on every Saturday at 5 o'clock and every Sunday at 5 o'clock. And that's my pastor, really civil rights and human rights.
That's right.
Leader. And
all people's rights.
All people's rights.
That's right.
And with us today is Victor Pate, and he also, you might mention the big convention that's coming up next next Wednesday. And tell us about the committee that you have at this event.
Yeah, so
And what you do at National Action Network.
Yes. So I'm the chairperson of the Second Chance Committee at the National Action Network, which is a committee that works with and assists formerly incarcerated men and women as they navigate back into our communities and our society. And as well as assisting people that are incarcerated and the families of those that are incarcerated. In terms of issues and problems that their incarcerated loved ones may encounter while incarcerated. Oftentimes you find the families without resources or not knowing what resources to utilize to assist their loved ones who are incarcerated. So I'm kind of sort of like a bridge between the prisons and jails, as well as those that are coming back and returning to our communities, and assisting them and connecting with various resources that will help them navigate the reentry process. We also work on criminal justice legislative reform, and the Second Chance Committee is part of a larger coalition of organizations, nonprofits, citizens, faith-based organizations, doctors, psychologists, and a whole range of people that are engaged in criminal justice reform advocacy work. So we kind of sort of like are connected with a lot of coalitions that are doing work in New York State to reform the criminal justice system. And of course, you know, more notably now, the bail reform, the Raise the Age campaign, and the pretrial evidentiary discovery, which were bills that were passed in 2019. So we are engaged in all of those platforms. I myself am
What's your program going to be like at the convention?
Well, I'm going to be hosting a criminal justice panel, and the title of the criminal justice panel will be Rebuilding Communities Through Redemption and Not Punishment. And I think this is like my 7th year of doing the criminal justice panel at the National Action Network annual convention. I've done diverse topics on different issues surrounding prisons and jails and criminal justice legislation. But I have to add that I'm actually so excited that as of tomorrow, a bill that's called the Halt Solitary Confinement Act, which is a bill that we advocated for 8.5 years to get long-term solitary confinement ended. That bill was signed into law in 2021 and signed by the governor.
Okay.
Its actual official implementation date is tomorrow, March the 31st. And that
we've been
means
doing
that
shows on that for how many years?
no longer
now?
can people be held in solitary confinement past 15 days. That's the premise
That's a
and the
miracle.
platform.
What was your, you know, we ran last, the week before, the young kid that,
Khalif?
Khalif Browder. He spent 900 out of his 3 years.
Yeah, almost 3 years.
But he spent 900 days, which is like
In solitary.
3 years and
In solitary
3 years
confinement.
itself.
Yeah. So this
365.
bill, and the uniqueness about this bill, Winston, is that not only does this bill apply to state prisons, it also applies to local jails, and especially Rikers Island.
And what was your time? What was your total time in solitary confinement?
Cumulatively, I think I did about 15 years of my life in and out at various periods of time in New York State prisons and also in New York local
How much
jails.
of that was solitary?
So cumulatively, I think about 2 years.
2 years out of the
yeah,
15.
Yeah, the longest period I served consecutively was 90 days. That's the longest one period I served at one time. And
Was Khalif Browder the record for time?
no, not at that time. Not at that time.
So introduce our guests.
So this is a gentleman that I met at the National Action Network, no less.
That's right. Reverend Sharpton told him to speak to you.
Yeah. He pointed him to my direction.
So I was there videotaping.
Right.
You know, I should have played that at the beginning. I couldn't find it. That was at the end of the rally while we were doing collection.
Yes.
So I think I missed that part. But Reverend Sharpton said to him, for the, he was assigned to do something for the convention.
Right.
And he mentioned, how did you decide, why did you decide to come to Reverend Sharpton?
A lifelong friend invited me. And I just said, yeah, I'll come and support Reverend Sharpton.
And that's very rare that Reverend Sharpton would pick somebody in the audience to say, hey, Victor, talk to this guy.
Right.
And I was amazed that I thought he had known you or something.
That was my first
But
time I met
was
him,
a-
actually.
that was a blessing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Rev really comes up with some stuff. Every week, that's my church. That's church. I've been there 25 years almost.
It's hard for me to get there because my wife has COPD, and I take care of her.
You're a caretaker.
Yeah, and I'm. She's gonna wait on my call so when I could go back.
So you came to Nan,
hold on.
like many
He
other
didn't,
people.
he didn't say his name.
Paul
Oh no, Paul Ratty,
Reddy. And you spent how much time? 30 years in prison.
30 years in prison for a crime that I didn't commit. The
That you
robbery
didn't commit.
victim, that they just took him out.
Oh, the guy that,
Yeah.
that was interesting. Now, this guy that you tried to, he didn't have his COVID card.
Yeah.
So that's why he couldn't get in. And you forgot to mention it to me beforehand. But was he standing next to you at National Action Network?
Yeah,
Oh, he was the guy standing next to you?
Yeah, that was the guy
he
who
was
was with us.
just in
Oh,
here.
yeah, I saw him, but I didn't recognize him. Oh, see, we had the victim, supposedly, of your arrest. The two of you came to Nan, and you wind up
Together.
talking to Victor.
Yeah,
And see, this is what happens when you come to National Action Network.
You get connected.
yeah.
You
A meeting
get
place.
connections.
It's a meeting place, right?
It's a meeting place. So he was trying to get Victor to do something for the convention, which is next week. And you walk in with a story about not. Now, see, this is a blessing here. I'm telling you, this is church. Somehow you get out of prison, and the reason why you told me why you were home and not bitter, because you had loving energy at home.
Yeah.
So tell us the story of why you were falsely accused of, but tell us the wrongs that you were doing, that perhaps this was in payback for what you did wrong.
In God's eyes, it may be payback.
Okay.
In the human sense, I don't think it's 30 years of my life was justified. Especially when the robbery victim said, no, he's not the one. I was forced to pick his picture and make a statement against him. A detective battered me, hit me, and they kept me in a cell for 9 hours. He was 18 years old.
And
I
he
don't
was a
think
coke
that-
dealer.
Yeah, I don't think that he ever had that kind of pressure. You know, the police torturing him for 9 hours, and look at the pictures, and I didn't think he could stand that pressure, and he signed a statement against me. But when he went to trial, he stood up and said, "This is not the man. I was forced to pick his picture."
You said this in court.
He said it in court. I have it on my trial transcripts.
Verbally, he said this in court, a matter of record.
He said, Detective Taylor forced me to pick a picture. He was hitting me and torturing me, kept me down there for 9 hours in the cell. Everyone that gave a statement within 25 minutes. I checked the times on these statements. 25 minutes. Even he took 25 minutes. Why did you have him there for 9 hours?
Was he ever robbed? Was he robbed?
Yeah, he was robbed. He was robbed.
But it wasn't you.
No.
Well, how is it that you got picked out of this? How did you get in the middle of this? You had a job.
Vengeance of a female, and she actually testified, said I was the one, but she made a deal with the testimony, for the testimony.
She made a deal.
Yeah. She didn't
Why
have
would
to
she
do,
make a deal?
Because she was incarcerated, getting ready to do 5 years
For what?
for theft, because she had been caught numerous times.
And this just speaks to how oftentimes, like Brother Paul speak about, people get wrongfully convicted because they arrest a person that's under pressure or facing some type of jail time, and in exchange for no jail or smaller jail systems, they sign false statements that result in wrongful convictions because they have it out for you or they need somebody, which is his situation.
Well, the cops had a reason for being mad at you?
Well, I was known throughout Trenton, New Jersey, as a drug dealer, but they never caught me.
Okay. So they wanted to get you off the streets.
Yeah, basically.
So by any means necessary, they got you off the streets. How is it that you get 30 years?
Because a young woman was killed during the robbery of
Oh, okay.
this gentleman's steal.
Okay. Did we ever find, do you know, have you any idea who killed her?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I know.
Well, why do you squeal to save yourself?
At the time, I didn't know.
You didn't know it at the time,
No, I didn't know.
but you found out later?
Yeah.
After you were in jail?
Yeah, the streets talk. They
Oh,
talk.
yeah.
The streets talk. Somebody comes in, gives all this information to, this happened, this happened. They go out on an ROR. Another person comes in, this happened, this happened, this happened. And the streets talk. You can never say any crime done in the streets. They know about it.
Yeah.
The streets talk. There was numerous people that were at the scene of the crime, but they didn't want to come in and testify.
So you had a trial, and you were convicted for murder?
Murder and robbery. The robbery victim stood up in court, said, this man did not rob me. He wasn't even there. It was someone else. He said the name, Alfred Tyson. And he said, this man, I was forced to pick his picture.
In court, on the record.
In court.
Under oath.
And they didn't even stop the trial, investigate it. They just kept on with the trial.
Like they never heard it.
Where's racism? Where's the racism in this?
The racism that we didn't get the same law that a white person got.
Was
A young
anybody
man
white
stabbed
involved?
his friend to death. No,
mind
I'm
that.
just saying. I'm giving it.
I don't want to hear another exposure. I want to deal with yours. Where's the injustice in your case? Was anybody involved white?
No, but I'm just saying this
So
young
this
man.
to them was a black on black crime.
Yeah, and the young man
That's-
that I was saying that
You see, you can't call that racism because that's normal for us.
He got
to them.
He got 9 years. I got 30.
Who got 9 years?
The other guy that killed his friend over some liquor, and he stabbed him to death
What did that have to do with
because he was white and I'm black.
But
Why would it? The robbery's victim is saying
that happens every day.
Yeah, but the robbery
I'm-
victim is saying this gentleman didn't do anything to me.
But you can't go to the other case. That's not going to do you any good for your case.
No, I'm just saying.
And
The
You might
comparison.
justify it in your mind, but we're dealing with how they deal with us.
Oh yeah.
All right? So it doesn't help you any looking to that, because that happens all the time.
Oh yeah.
We're trying
all right.
to get fairness for you. So you, the other wrongs don't count. As far as we are concerned, it really doesn't pay you anything. It doesn't do you any good. We find justice in our system, the system that's against us. You look to the, that's like blaming a white man for everything. You can if you want, but it doesn't help us.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
It doesn't help
It's
us.
only the
We don't
facts.
look at our own wrong. See, that's escapism for what you do wrong. You got to look how God deals with your system, not with you personally. It's a personal contact with God, the energy that you put out there. You know, God answers all prayers, and He answers.
Oh, yeah.
He's fair with you. So if you're just and righteous, you can't blame anybody but yourself, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's what you find out when you do something wrong and you get paid. I mean,
I bear witness to that.
we all go through that. We all go through that.
I realized that January 8th of 1990. That's when I was a born again Christian.
Okay.
That's when I was baptized, and I understood what I had to go through to get to where I am now.
All right.
Accepting
So that's
responsibility.
a blessing from the curse.
Yeah, yeah,
You were doing something wrong and you paid the price.
yeah,
We all have to do that.
yeah. If I wasn't in the streets, it wouldn't have never happened.
See, you can't blame what happened to somebody
Oh no,
else.
no, no,
That's
no.
wrong.
I just
In comparison.
the comparison and the measure of the same thing. We're not
But you're out
justly.
now after 30 years of injustice. But did you pay for anything that you did wrong?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah,
So you did do something wrong.
oh yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, rehabilitation, like solitary confinement is another trip
Yeah,
that
I
we
did
need
that.
to talk about. Did you go through that?
Yeah.
How much time
At
did you spend in
times,
solitary confinement?
6 months straight,
Oh,
a
man.
whole year straight.
A whole year.
I've done. I've witnessed some prisoners that were in Trenton, Jersey State Prison, and they stood 10 years in segregation.
10 years?
10 years
And
in
there's people who've done
segregation.
more. I think I mentioned one time before in one of the other segments, Albert Woodfox, the Angola 3,
Ooh.
did 40 years. 40 years in
I'd say-
solitary confinement in Angola. 40 years. They held that man in solitary confinement for 40 years.
All right, well, I want to run a piece that you did on solitary confinement. This is item 2. Run Victor. I'll give you an idea what Victor's been working on for the last...
8.5 years. 9.
Yeah, I've known him. I mean, I don't know how many. We were doing something once a month, so that's 12 a year. That's
Right.
120 people,
Right.
really. So run that piece, and we'll be right back at you.
I think that by me doing this work, by me telling the story, by me being able to express my horror, my suffering that I suffered while I was in solitary confinement, makes me a good advocate because I can express it. And people, when they hear it and they see it, they can feel it. My name is Victor Pate. I am the New York statewide organizer for the New York City Campaign for Alternatives to Isolated Confinement. Right now, as I sit here and talk, I'm transformed back to the yard. It gets easier, but it's the reliving that story that you tell. It doesn't take but a moment to be in the yard, to be transformed back to that yard. Most of the time, you hear people banging on the walls, or you hear people talking to themselves. You may hear that, and you may hear nothing. What led me into this, I can say almost reluctantly, my experience of 15 years of incarceration in our New York State prisons and jails. My first actual campaign that I was involved in was basically to abolish Rockefeller drug laws, which was one of the worst drug laws that ever came out, and it affected so many people, disproportionately people of color. It devastated communities, it devastated people's lives, and I just knew there was something that I had to do. Solitary confinement does not help the safety, does not help the security, and it definitely does not help anyone who has mental health issues. This is not an answer to corrective behavior. So we ask people to do an action once they attend our meetings. Take this conversation to someone else. We need the public to get involved. We need the public to call their legislators. We need the public to call these prisons and jails. Everybody can do something to help the cause, but the most important thing is that you do something about this horrible condition and situation that we're dealing with and the treatment that people in our prisons and jails are suffering under right now.
People should get the credit.
Okay.
Welcome back.
I was wondering where you got that from.
I just want you to see the good work that Victor's doing, and see what happens is that people come to us at our home church looking for help, and they receive it. I mean, I'm always inspired every week. I get a political analysis of what's going on in the world, and I bring that here. As you saw with our opening piece and how our people are being treated. We've got a fair-minded man from Brooklyn that's been through the crap. He knows it all. And God's guided him through all this. And I've been there to watch it happen. And you're a classic example of what happens there. See how you walk into a place looking for help, and you got something out of it, right?
I got
And I
more.
wish we could have gotten your man on.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this is the guy, we just had the person who he's accused of robbing, couldn't get in because he didn't have his COVID card. So he would have been another guest on today. But we'll get to that story, you know, because it's exciting to hear that. I mean, the way we met you, it's exciting, and we've got this convention coming up next week, which I hope you're going to.
I registered.
You registered?
Yeah.
I mean, this is how, you know, God helps people. I mean, this is not the first time that people walk into National Action Network and receive a blessing.
That's the
know,
connectivity.
And I received the blessing.
Because we're dealing with a man that been through it all, and what's guided him throughout his life is his mother guiding him to church.
Yep.
In Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. All right?
And look where he has risen to.
And look
And
at
the
the things
platform.
that have been
Yeah.
talked. I mean, there's somebody's been talked about, ridiculed, been through all the crap that we go through being black in America. and you stayed the course. I mean, being a follower of Martin Luther King, a disciple of Martin Luther King, which we all are.
That's right.
I mean, that's what I hold my self-esteem on. I'm a little older than Reverend Sharpton, so, you know.
Stop playing.
Huh?
Stop playing.
You know, next month I'll be 81.
Right.
So,
God willing.
and I'm blessed because
Amen, amen.
I've got God in my life.
And that's important.
And
That
that's
you have a-
important for all of us,
Yeah.
especially being black in America. Because we're spiritual people. I always say that. We got soul, you know?
I always said, what would I think of him? And I come always to the same conclusion. A great man,
He's blessed.
a great man. That sums it all for me.
I think that oftentimes that, you know, in our chosen paths or field, God chooses everything for us to do.
Yeah.
And oftentimes we have to go through the transformation of ourselves to get where God wants us to be. Like me and Brother Paul, okay? I had to go through the adversity for myself to be cleansed and to be given a new consciousness, a new thought, and a new way. If I had another choice, I wish I could have had another way to find where I am right now.
Yeah.
But I accept the responsibility for the wrongs that I have done. No question about it, you know what I'm saying? You know, unlike this gentleman here, who's wrongfully convicted. No, I did what I did, and I accept that. However, my dissatisfaction is the treatment that I received
Right.
in the cleansing process that should not have happened to myself, nor should it happen to others. Okay? And I think that there needs to be, and we should have, systems of accountability. But those systems of accountability should be humane,
Right.
it should be transformative, and it should be restorative. And we should have opportunity for redemption and second chances. And I stand strongly on that.
Okay.
But it took me, you know, to go through what I went through to be where I am today.
And you only spent 15 years. I say only 15
Only.
years.
He said, like,
Because we're staying extra man
Yes,
since
yes,
30.
that's
That's
right.
still a long time.
one day is one day too long.
But I mean, in comparison to you, I mean, that's why I say only.
Only.
A gentleman just came out of prison. We sent letters to the governor's office so he can get parole. He spent 54 years in prison.
Oh. 54.
54 years.
How old is he?
He's about 89, 90 years old.
That's inhumane.
What?
That's inhumane.
How is it? There should be a max to stay in there. I mean, how is he?
54 years.
54. What did he do?
Well, he murdered someone.
And he was guilty?
Yeah, he was guilty. Bruce King.
What was his sentence? What was his total sentence that he got?
Life with
Without
With the possibility of parole?
with
What's the possibility? Okay.
Did he kill anybody in prison?
no.
Did he get in trouble in prison all the time?
He got in trouble now and then, you know, but it wasn't.
He didn't kill a cop.
No. But
Was the murder so foul that they felt
Yeah, a
that
little
he
foul.
deserved?
Yeah, a little foul.
But he kept getting hit at the parole
thing
board.
is, his son, Bruce King Jr., he had a murder also. And then Trentonian printed like father, like son.
Ooh. Was that true?
No.
Why the son
But
murder?
he committed his crime, yeah. But
He was guilty.
yeah. Both of them were guilty.
Okay. Then you hear these stories and you were not guilty. So how did that torture you? How did you justify that and come out sane?
I
That's it. That's right there, Winston.
yeah,
Come
well,
out saying.
I've seen a number of people that have gone insane for the time that
Yeah.
they were doing.
Yeah.
I've seen so many, and younger than I, lay down and die.
Yeah.
But
Especially if you're innocent.
I have a personal relationship with my father up above.
Okay.
That's my strength.
That's
I
right.
was in the church.
You look
And,
church. You look like church.
Right now, I'm
you're
in
70
the
years
church
old.
where
And look, you don't look 70.
the brothers that I was locked up with, they have a church. And I go to their church.
You mean the people that were incarcerated, they now have their own church?
Yes.
Okay.
A number,
Did the Muslims
They-
affect you at all?
they said from the prison to the pulpit. And I trust them. I have faith with them. The whole duration of time that I was there, incarcerated, they churched with me. My faith is, I want to do more if I can.
What do you do now?
Just take care of my wife. I do the cooking and cleaning and all that. She doesn't have to lift a finger. I don't want her lifting a finger.
And she been with you the whole 30?
No, I divorced her. So after 5 years, I was having a hard time trying to convince these people that I was innocent. I have stacks of motions and briefs and paperwork. and it's funny. They tell me, if you feel or you think that you were innocent, you can put in an application to us in the Attorney General's office. And the Attorney General's office is the same people that had denied me every time that I submitted a motion. And they,
Why didn't they believe that you were innocent?
in the court system, they go if your constitutional rights have been violated, then you have a right to come back. I cannot argue the fact that this man said that I'm innocent when a whole jury found me guilty.
What was their proof?
Well, it took 2 days for them to find me guilty. A young woman came in crying. I guess that's the one that was still saying that I was innocent, and they pressured her because after the second day, they should have adjourned and called it a mistrial. But they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And they found me guilty. The thing is, the main witness that was in front of the perpetrator, he didn't go to the grand jury. The police detective read his statement. And he was the main person in that situation. He was the robbery victim. He witnessed up close the girl getting killed.
Oh, he actually saw the girl get shot?
Yeah.
Did he see
She was standing right next to him.
And who was she?
She was a little girlfriend that he had.
A little girl?
That was his girlfriend.
Yeah, his girlfriend.
His girlfriend got shot
Yeah,
while he was being robbed.
yeah,
And he was a coke dealer.
yep.
So you would think that was a gang or something. How did you get involved with this?
Through a female that actually set him up. And the female, I wasn't going to leave my wife for no other female.
Now, I see you're a player with cocaine. And you're giving this girl some coke, and she became your girlfriend. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm just reading
she's a side chick.
She's a side chick.
you're I mean, is that?
Yeah, I had a couple of side chicks, yeah.
So you out there playing, and so this is what you were punished for.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's why I said,
Oh,
if I
wow.
wasn't ever out there, this wouldn't have happened.
So how did this girl? How did you get set up? Somebody set him up to get robbed. By who?
By a gentleman called Alfred Tyson.
Alfred Tyson.
Yeah.
Is he alive and well?
The last time that
So you know who shot the girl. You didn't find this out until prison.
I saw him when my wife came to visit me in the county jail. And he walked by going to visit someone else.
What?
And when he walked by, he saw me and didn't speak to me. And we had that relationship that we spoke to each other.
And what did he do? He was a coke dealer?
He was a stick-up kid.
Oh, he was a stick-up man. You knew the stick-up man.
Yeah.
So he shot the girl.
Yeah. When he saw me, he lowered his head and kept on walking.
So you
And then
found out.
when I told my wife, leave now, and I went down there and I took the phone from the other kid that he was seeing. I said, you know, I'm doing this for you. And he didn't say nothing.
He was free.
Yeah.
He was
free.
visiting somebody in prison. Wow.
I just can't wrap my mind around just something Brother Paul said. The mere fact that the victim, the alleged person that was robbed, said in open court on the record in the presence of the judge and the prosecutors that Paul was not the perpetrator of the crime. And the jury still found him guilty. What type of system are we operating on? And justice supposed to be fair justice when you have a person that's arrested for a crime and a victim of the crime says in open court on the record under oath that this man you have is not the perpetrator of the crime.
Well, the
Not
pros-
even that fact that
The
he said
prosecutor.
also the police, this detective Taylor was hitting me and smacking me.
The guy that signed the statement.
Yeah,
He was abused. He was coerced. He was forced. He was beat up. To sign a statement to say that you did it.
Yeah.
But he said in court that you didn't do it. Mm-hmm. So kind of sort of like he was trying to set the record straight.
Yeah.
Even though they had a signed statement, he said in open court that he was coerced, he was beat up, and they made him sign a statement to saying that you did it. And they still found this man guilty. Now you talking about a travesty of justice?
So we blame it on white supremacy, racism. Was the jury all white?
Basically, and
But all the victims were black.
yeah,
The robber,
Yeah.
the girl who got shot and murdered. Right? So this to the jury looked like a fight amongst gangsters. Is that right?
I think that's how they looked at it.
And the prosecutor looked at this and says, well, they all belong in jail anyway. So you're a victim of what you were doing.
he tried to say that while we was in the county jail, that I forced him to say that I didn't do it. But we never lived anywhere and at any time.
Say that again?
That I forced him to do it.
Who said
You
that?
forced
the
your-
prosecutor?
the
The
victim.
prosecutor said that on summation. He didn't say this during trial,
Okay.
but on summation, that's the impression that he gave.
That you
To the-
forced him to say that.
Yeah.
For you.
Force who? The victim?
Yeah,
You forced the victim to tell him that
That
you were
we saying the
innocent.
prosecutor.
that's what the
his
prosecutor
summation.
said on summation. So summation,
Oh, so this kid was 18, and you were
36.
twice his age. You're old enough to be his
The thing
daddy.
is,
so
I knew him.
you're the hustling daddy with all these women. You got a wife at home, and you're giving all these girls coke. So they saw you as a player. Really? Is that what you were?
Yeah,
Okay. So you paid 30 years for being a player. Got hung up
playing the
into.
game.
You got hung up in that.
Yeah,
So that was your. Oh, that's a hell of a thing.
So I guess what I and I know you and I spoke somewhat. So in terms of the wrongful conviction and everything that transpired during the course of your trial, where are you now in trying to get this overturned?
I first have to, because I did the time.
Right.
The
Can't get that back.
The sentence was a 30 with a 30. Your
a
minimum,
30 with a 30.
your minimum is your maximum. You get it's 30 years
Flat.
straight.
No parole
No parole,
Determinate.
anything.
for murder.
Just do
Murder
30
and robbery.
Yeah, for murder, robbery,
Was it murder one?
weapons charge. They never
Oh, they
found a
threw a-
weapon because I don't have any weapons.
No weapon found?
No.
But you got
They
you
took-
got
they
convicted
took
of
clothing.
possession.
Huh?
You got convicted of possession of a weapon, but they never got a weapon from you.
No.
They never produced a weapon at trial or
No,
nothing,
no.
but you still got convicted of possession of a weapon without
And I
physical
still-
evidence.
Yeah,
Well-
and I still got convicted of robbing James Steele, and he was in court saying, I didn't do it. He didn't do it.
That's why you got to stay away from. You got to stay righteous within life. because you do something slightly wrong, and they'll get you. I mean, that's not slowing anybody down because people are going to do what they're going to do to survive. All right, I just want to hear a word from the Lord. I got a couple of inspiring things, and then we got 10 minutes, 8 minutes, and this is part of item 4 or item 3. Play a little bit of that, and I want you to hear Reverend Sharpton and give you an idea of what happens at the National Action Network every Saturday, 9
Every Saturday.
to 11,
Yeah, I'm
at
going to
106 West
I'll be there
145th
this
Street,
Saturday.
which this gentleman came to.
We must return to the roots of who we are and fight the fight based on who and what we are and what the fight has been about, and stop letting people reinterpret us to divert and distract us from what we're supposed to be. That's what this is about. That's what Wyatt T. Walker taught us. An authentic calling rather than a commercial venture. You've commercialized the pulpit and bought you, but you won't last. Because everything that is not built on an eternal word will pass in a contemporary setting. That's why I love that sermon. One of them, Dr. Walker, used to talk about the power of decision. You got to decide at some point in your life what you stand for and who you stand with. Everybody can't stand with you if you stand for something. I was growing up, most folk in Brooklyn would not stand with the King movement. They were with other movements, thought we was whatever. But I stood anyhow. Church I was going to was not political. My pastor, Bishop Washington, understood. A lot of folks told me, oh, he done backslid. He out there in the world. But I had to get their kids jobs after a while, because I stood for something. Somewhere I read that if men hate you, remember they hated me. But he went to the cross to show that you can conquer the crucifixion. If you are afraid of the crucifixion, you'll never make the resurrection. You can't get to your crown without your cross. You're trying to be popular rather than prophetic. And let me say this and I'll let you go. There is this whole thing, as I said, about those that tweeted me about Gardner and those that tweeted me about Monique, that you forget that life is an evolving situation. The only thing that don't grow is something that's dead. So whatever you see at one stage is not where they're going to be at another stage. And you cannot be afraid to let God grow you. Amen. And you cannot be ashamed of where he grew you from. Well, I knew you when. Yeah, you did. And look at what God did for me now. And throughout the Bible, God changed people. He changed the name, Abram to Abraham, Saul to Paul. He changes people. So you might have come up a rough way, but that don't mean that God can't smooth you out. Sometimes God needs ex-junkies to tell other folk how to get clean. Sometimes God needs ex-crooks to tell other people you ain't got to go that way. Don't stop me where you want in my life because I'm not finished yet. Be patient with me. God ain't through with me yet. And it ain't no new Al Sharpton, it's the evolution of the old Al Sharpton. Oh, I knew Al back when, he's changed. No, I grew. I'm the same Al Sharpton, I'm just grown up. I knew you when you was big and fat. I always knew there was a fine, slim me down there. I just had to carve and chisel till I got down to him. There is a new you in you. God gonna evolve you and grow you and make you to be who he brought you here to be. We come from a people that never stopped growing. Even in the bits of slavery, they would sing, there's a bright side somewhere. Ain't gonna rest till I find it. I'm not satisfied, Mr. Trump. I know you in charge, but you won't be in charge forever. I don't believe he brought me this far. I don't believe he broke the shackles of slavery. I don't believe he brought me from the back of the bus. I don't believe he brought me from no vote to Barack Obama in the White House. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me now. I won't stop. I won't back up. I won't back down. God is. God will. God does. I'm a living witness. Everybody sing.
That was church.
And that's me in the background saying, tell him, man,
I know.
tell him,
That's
man.
always you, man.
That's my, you see, that's my inspiration. That's where I get my,
That's when you plug in and get charged up, right?
yeah, oh, it tunes me up. I've been there 24 years. I'm tuned up. All right? So, next Wednesday at, give us the address and what time is your program on?
So the criminal justice panel that I will be moderating
15 seconds for,
is going to be on April the 9th,
let
1:15.
me finish this. We'll have to do it for New Jersey. Power to the people. God bless. This is for Manhattan. God in me loves the God in you. Go. We got another.
It's going to be from
minute for the
1:15 to 2:30 p.m. at the Sheraton Hotel, 811 7th Avenue. And we're going to be in the Empire West room, I believe.
Empire West.
Empire West room. At
Is
the
that
convention.
which day?
April the 9th.
April the 9th, on Saturday?
Yes, Saturday.
Oh, the last day.
Yes.
All right. Hope you
Always.
enjoyed yourself. We got to get to.
Thank you for having
we
me.
got to. We'll come back and tell
Want to
the story.
get his,
Tell your story.
yeah, the other guy, we want him to get there.
Yeah.
So they can
We're going to do this
get
again.
both sides of the story.
I got to get to the bottom.
No, I'll get
we'll
you
get
to
'em-
come to.
Saturday.
Yeah, get them to
Saturday.
come to the
Yeah, I'll get 'em to
convention.
come.
Well, we're going to do a show on this again. Power to the people. God bless. God in me loves the God in you. And stay tuned. That was
show.
great. We all learned something on that one.
God is good, boy.
Like I said, I
See why
just
you came to Sharpton?
can't see how
See why you came to
he
Sharpton?
got